Our meeting will come to order. The time is 6:30. Our purpose tonight is our board workshop, February 16th. Dr. Randall? I'm sorry, we have a quorum with Mr. Torres absent.
Madam Chairman, the first action item, consider approval of additional local compensatory education criteria. These are comp ed funds, and typically are those funds that are associated with campuses that have high at-risk students. So we'll answer any questions that you all may have.
Are there any questions?
Next item is consider approval of budget amendment requests. And we're asking that the board approve budget requests for Terry High School, Hutchinson Elementary, and Frost Elementary.
Are there any questions?
Next item on the agenda is consider ratification of financial and investment reports. This is a report that the board gets monthly on investments.
No questions?
Next item is consider approval of collateral security agreements. And this is that the Board of Trustees approved the attached collateral security agreements with Wells Fargo National Bank and the Bank of New York Mellon Trust Company. And I'm going to ask Mrs. I was going to say Jill, and then I said
I know.
just to give kind of an overview of what this is. The board, if you recall, you approved us moving forward with this. So.
Under our depository contract with Wells Fargo, you have two options. They can provide a surety bond or collateral to cover our deposits, because they have to do one or the other by law, so that all of our cash in bank, our just regular cash, is covered. This agreement, instead of doing the surety bond, we want to have a collateral security agreement. So they pledge, the bank pledges securities to us in the amount, well, actually above the amount of our deposits, as a safekeeping arrangement. And the reason that this is a three-party agreement is because they're pledging securities, and the securities have to be held in a safekeeping account by a third party that's independent of the bank or us. So this is a tri-party agreement to manage our collateral that secures our deposits.
This is just a methodology to secure this above the normal deposit we put in the bank. You know, I go down and put in the bank $250,000, whatever it is.
It's kind of like the 250,000
But
limit.
on a grandiose scale.
Yes, we have that too, but we have more money than that.
Yes.
So this covers the difference above
Yes.
that. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is consider approval of blanket purchase agreement with Han Company, LLC, and we're asking that the board approve that purchasing agreement. It's another cooperative.
I'm sorry, did we skip
We skipped.
number 4?
This is number 6,
What about number 4?
page 129. Oh, no,
What did I skip?
There's two safekeeping agreements.
We were on
so
30.
It makes it
on 27.
confusing. That was the collateral agreement.
Number
Next
4.
one is
Yeah.
the board policy item.
Page
Well,
33.
why am I?
I'm so
No,
glad to see
I'm
you.
good.
Okay, I have a few questions.
All right, thank you. Consider approval of updates to accumulated leave buyback plan, and we're asking that the board approve a revision to the Internal Revenue Code 401 and 403B plans and related revisions to board policy DEC local. And if you have any questions about that, a number of years ago, there were employees were able to take and buy back their sick leave or their, well, you're nodding your head, Ms., and you could probably do this better than I can.
Okay, yes, I
But,
can. Because I did.
That's
But
right.
we were grandfathered in because
That's correct.
anybody hired after 1991
That's correct.
wasn't eligible.
That's correct, and this is an update of, with the Internal Revenue Codes for that policy. Jill, did I?
So the question is,
There have been changes in IRS regulations over 401A and 403B plans like these. And so the two plans are being updated due to IRS regulation changes. And then we're also ensuring that our board policy reflects the plans and practice, just to make sure everything is on a level playing field. Everything says, every document says the same thing.
Is the policy or the plan different than what we are currently using,
No.
or is it just reflecting to be the same?
Right.
Okay. So they
So-
still can't buy back their dates?
Correct. No, it's not changing the 1991 date or anything
Okay.
like that.
okay, that's what I was asking, that
Right.
those hired after 1991 still have not,
Are still ineligible.
are
They're
still,
not-
okay,
Right.
okay. But, okay.
No change in the number of days maximum or anything. No changes other than bringing it into compliance with the current IRS.
Because then I was reading, I
regs.
thought you were trying to bring it back in.
No.
Okay.
Keep trying.
And then, of course, let's see, the actual change to policy, there's one minimal change, which is that we're not allowing payouts of less than $1,000 to be deposited in, $1,000 to be deposited into either plan. Because it's like a de minimis amount, we're gonna pay that in cash to the employee instead.
And it's still if I remember correctly, what you were worth per day?
It's an
Average
average.
of last 5 years?
Yes. And it's up to a maximum of 150 days. Plus,
Right.
if your contract has vacation days in it, then accumulated vacation counts as well.
And is there not state and local days? It's all together now, correct?
For sick leave, yes.
Okay, all right. Just making sure. I understood.
More or less. You have state personal and state sick,
Correct,
But-
and then local sick.
okay.
Jill, that policy hasn't changed since 1991?
This one, I don't recall any changes in this.
Okay,
Do y'all recall any other changes? No.
okay, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is consider approval of agreements to establish a safekeeping account with Wells Fargo Bank.
This is the other agreement I was talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so this is a second safekeeping account, but this is for if we should buy, say, a treasury bond or something like that. Because of the banking rules, those are deposited into a different type of account, not a demand deposit account, but into a safekeeping account for us, because you don't actually get a paper document anymore.
And who did has Wells Fargo always been our safekeeping account? Or we're changing to
We haven't
Wells
had a
Fargo?
safekeeping account in many years, because we are invested in the investment pools, in the government pools. So if we would buy a security now, we would need a safekeeping account.
And why
And
would
so
we go with Wells Fargo?
We chose Wells Fargo because they're our depository bank as well.
We approved them over the summer.
Right.
Thank you, Jill.
Next item on the agenda is consider approval of blanket purchase agreement with a Han Company. And this is allowing the district to procure furniture at an aggressive discount.
Is this a new company?
This is actually a manufacturer. We have traditionally bought most of our furniture from a dealer, we're actually going straight to the manufacturer now to get the extra incentive discounts. And we can use any of their approved dealers for the installation of furniture, but this will allow us to capture the deeper discounts, pool all of our orders into one directly with the manufacturer.
And it does say that we have the right to purchase furniture from other manufacturers, correct?
Absolutely. It's not an exclusive contract. Most of our furnishings for administrative furniture and for some of our educational units, we have a standard to HON, and we use it quite frequently across the district. It's got wonderful 10-year warranties. It's commercial-grade furniture. We absolutely get our money's worth when we buy their furniture. So this will just allow us to enjoy some deeper discounts.
Once we meet 500,000, that's the only.
I'm sorry?
The only stipulation is 500,000.
We'll easily hit that target on the list side. When we opened Arredondo, it was a little over 200,000 on the list. So with the new high school, new junior high, and another elementary all combined into the projects, we'll easily hit that target. They actually want us to do $1 million, and we said maybe next time, but.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is consider approval of board policies. Localized Policy Manual Update 102 and 103. And as you probably had an opportunity to see, that a number of the changes were being reflected from the updates of the state policies and from the legislature. And you probably, as you went through, you noticed that there were even just word changes and then different items deleted. Will answer
Are there any
questions that
questions?
you may have. Okay. Consider approval of resolution proclaiming Diagnostician Week.
I just had one question. How many diagnosticians do we have? Does anybody know?
Not off the top of my head, but I can get that.
Okay, I'll call. That's no big deal. Thank you.
We ask that the board approve the attached resolution proclaiming the week of February 29th, March 4th as Texas Public School Week. And we ask that the Board of Trustees approve the 2015-16 Attendance Boundary Committee recommendations to establish the attendance boundary area for elementary 24 and to allow residents living in planning units 4A, 4D, and 5A to declare which elementary school they will attend, elementary 24 or their current school. And you will actually have a presentation on this Thursday from the Attendance Boundary Committee Chair.
Do they have an idea of how many people would declare, I mean, how big of an impact this is gonna have? Because you've got 3 out of 5 districts that have the ability to do that. Any feel for what that might be?
Right, and again, the committee will be here on Thursday to
Right.
go over it, but they looked at the 3 areas, which are essentially the same areas that the Secondary Attendance Boundary Committee declared for Fulshire High School. It's roughly anywhere between 90 and 100 or so students. Out of that group, the thought process of the committee was probably the same number of folks that are declaring to go to the Fulshire track are the same ones that are going to want to stay at their home school, which goes into that. And as of last week, when the group looked at it, it was 20 students. Don't know how much more. So you're looking at 20
Okay,
or so. That's kind of the rationale.
all right, thank you.
Okay.
What's the deadline for them, I'm sorry, what's the deadline for them to be able to make that request?
That would be set by the board. Currently, for the secondary, it was set for February 26th, and you recall when that was. So it would likely be later on this semester. Typically, when we've done grandfathering, it's usually the end of March.
Sorry. And it's the same stipulation that if they ask and then if they decide to change, then there's no,
Right, the verbiage would be written similar to where you wouldn't do a lot of flip-flopping, you declare, and if you want to rescind that, you can, but then you wouldn't keep going back and forth.
okay. Let's see, then deadline.
The next item on the agenda is consider approval of deductive change order number 1 and final payments for Arredondo Elementary.
I have a question. Have we completed everything on that project list? And I guess I could ask the same question for the next two items.
Completed the construction and all the work. The projects are still in warranty phase, so anything that comes up is being taken care of for the next 8 months, 6 months.
But it's all completed?
All completed, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that is true for the remaining
Okay.
2 projects.
Thank you.
The next item is consider approval of deductive change order and project closeout for the trailer stadium renovations. The next item is consider approval of deductive change order number 1 and final payment for the 2015 summer miscellaneous projects. The next item on the agenda is consider approval of final payment for the security vestibule at Bowie Elementary.
Question.
And that's, I'm sorry. We're at 13A, and we're actually going to pull that one because we had reordered some doors, we ordered some doors that came in. They weren't the right doors, so now they've had to reorder them. And so we're actually going to, on Thursday, ask the board to pull that agenda item, 13A.
Okay, I was gonna ask, because I was curious about this, so I went down to Bowie and they said, we're not quite ready yet, so.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Also, this is no, that's all right. Pass on that. Got another question later.
We're going to the next one. Right. Well, actually, we're going to Briscoe. Consider approval of final payment for the security vestibule at Briscoe Junior High. The next item is consider approval of final payment for the security vestibule at Foster High School. Consider approval of final payment for the security vestibule at George Junior High. Consider approval of final payment for the security vestibule at Lamar Consolidated High School. And we're gonna also pull from the agenda, number 14, consider approval of design development for Pink Elementary repairs. There's some additional work that they're wanting to do with the soil testing underneath that facility before they move forward with the actual design for part of that. And I'll let
Thank you, Dr. Randall. Well, we've been made aware there's some additional issues with the foundation, and rather than move forward with any cosmetic repairs at this time, we need to do some additional testing, which is related to the next item on the agenda, the hydrostatic testing that we're going to do to make sure there's no further movement with the foundation before we move forward with any repairs, cosmetic repairs that might otherwise be damaged.
A couple of questions on that. In the packet we got here, we're going to be re-looking at this or doing additional work. In the packet on page, well, it's a composite floor plan. It says area of work and circles primarily the back of the school. But going down there and looking at, there's some of the same issues over under the, I guess, kindergarten.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
And that was discovered, and so we've got to address that first. The work in the packet does need to be done, but some additional work has got to be done, and we want to make sure we get it right before we move forward with any of spending any money on it.
Okay, I didn't see any work on the roof in here. Have the roof leaks been repaired down there? Because there's a lot of staining on the roof tiles.
I'm not aware of the roof issue, Mr. Steenbergen. I will find out for you and get back with you.
Okay, because that's still, when I was down there taking a look at the areas that need to be worked on, you can see where water come down some of the walls, some areas of leakage. That's your good flat roof design.
Yes,
So if you wouldn't mind taking a look at that, too, please.
yes, sir. I'd be
Thank you,
happy to.
appreciate it.
Next item of agenda is that we ask that the board approve Phil's Plumbing for the hydrostatic plumbing test for Pink Elementary School. The next item on the agenda is consider approval of design development for the new elementary number 25. And that we have presentation.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Randall, PBK Architects, Mr. Rick Bland, and Mr. Lauren Pargood are here to present their efforts to date for Elementary 25. They've completed the design development and are going to present it to you on Thursday for your final review and approval. But they'll present tonight and answer any questions you may have concerning the design. Rick?
Thank you, Jim. Good evening, Madam President, trustees, and Dr. Randall. Thank you very much for allowing us to present tonight. As Mr. Rice mentioned, we're here to present the design development for Elementary 25. Elementary 25 is a repeat of, I'm going to say Arredondo, since Elementary 24 is currently under construction, and we're well underway and headed towards our substantial completion on Elementary 24. But I'd like to also thank our Kevin's staff and many people on the administration and Veneer, Rice and Gardner consultants that helped us along the way to get to this point. It's obviously been a very team effort to get here in such a short period of time. We're going to jump right into the architectural drawings. So we have our site is in Firethorn, and our site street, main road on the south side of the site is Firethorn South. If you look at the key map, we have I-10 is on this side, just to the north, and then 1463 is to the west. Fulshire High School and the complex in Fulshire is a little bit off of to the left of our key map there. So our site is just in Firethorn, built-up neighborhood on a couple sides, and they're moving so fast. Our aerial to the north side is probably obsolete at this point. I'm sure it is, as fast as they're moving on the north side, building houses as well. Our site plan, our main entry for the elementary is off of Joan Collier Trace Street, and we're coming in at the far north side of the site. So you'll see on the north side, we're coming in with an entry and a double esplanade exit. So we come in and we hit a parent loop on the front side. You may notice in your DD book, we did have a typo on the parent loop, which has been fixed on the screen, by the way, but your book does have a minor typo in there. The way the site is divided, we have bus drop-off traffic in the back, and we have the parent drop-off traffic in the front. So it's always very, very important to separate these two vehicular access to the site. The main entry for the buses then are off of South Firethorn Drive alongside the drainage access ditch on this side, which is also where our site is draining to. So you'll see on this site, we're not required to have a detention pond, which does save some site area as well. So if you come in the front main entry, we have a stacking area here. And as you have seen in many of our elementaries we presented recently, stacking areas and parent stacking areas have become rather long, dictated by traffic engineering and the county. So we have to follow their guidelines, and we're always looking for ways to add as much stacking distance as possible. What this layout does is you have the main entry stack here. You could also turn off left to the visitor and staff parking. You'll notice that there's quite a bit in the front. The reason for this is we divide the staff parking front and back also, so when they arrive in the morning, they're not all just coming from one side. They're kind of divided up and coming from two different areas of the building, as well as plenty of visitor parking in the front. So at that point in the morning, you could always have gates or cones here as well as here, so that would direct parents along the loop, and then back around to the front. Drop off on this side, drop off canopy. We'll show you that exterior rendering in just a second for that canopy and the drop off area. Then on the back side, buses come in on this side. They drop off at a long canopy here. And then also the special ed buses would come in the same entry, and then they would take a left, get out of that traffic, and then go through a small loop and drop off this side, which you'll see in just a second also is the classroom side. To zoom in a little bit on the plan, Lauren's going to walk us through the plan in just a second and show us a few of the changes that we made from Arredondo to 24 and the ones that have been incorporated into this plan as well.
All right, there we go. All right, as Rick discussed earlier, this is our main drop-off, our parent drop-off drive. So this is our main entry of the school. Floor plan is very, very similar to Arredondo Elementary School 24, which is under construction now. So this plan is very similar. Footprint's the same size. The circulation of the schools, the hall corridors, everything's pretty much the exact same. Some of the changes we discussed with the design committee were simple. One, the library, which you'll see a few images of it. It's a lot less traditional than what you're used to seeing. So we'll get to some images on that in a little while. One of the main concerns was in the music room. The principal at Arredondo, Ms. Barbaro, she was stating that a lot of the noise from the music room would filter over into their office area. So what we propose to do, excuse me, is we're going to put it's going to look just like it does from the inside with the lay-in ceiling, just like we see above us. We're going to put a sheetrock lid above that, 4 feet. What that'll do is just keep that noise confined to that area. And also, I've talked to the mechanical designers about doing something with noise transfer through the HVAC system as well.
That noise carries over into the Kiva in the library too.
Yes, sir.
You know,
She
the
mentioned that as
designs,
well.
so.
Yes, sir.
All right.
It will carry over.
I took care of my question.
There you go. It's right next to the gym too, so they can be noisy.
All right, pretty much this is a pre-K kindergarten area, and we're gonna blow this up in a few minutes. The administration area, the gymnasium and cafeteria, kitchen, classroom pods, and then you have your libraries in the front and centralized. And you have some of your special needs classrooms here and fine arts back here. So again, this is just a blow up of what you just saw. Again, this is a classroom pod for the pre-K and kindergarten areas. We kept their pod storage. They love that. We put printer pods in there so the teachers won't have to go into a classroom and disrupt the class that's, to pull things that they print off the printer. So all they have to do is go to a printer pod that's in the corridor, and they don't have to, did I get rid of another question? Oh,
No, just a note to myself, since we're gonna change the design on 25, we are just starting on 24. We're gonna go back and do the music room installation on 24 as well?
We need to look at that.
We need to look at 24.
Okay, that takes care of another question.
Yeah, because anything we can update for 24.
Okay, again, the kitchen is set up the exact same way as the previous 5 schools, because we made some changes from Thomas and Hubenack. Again, next slide.
I have a question.
Yes,
I don't know
ma'am.
if this is the right time. Where the gym and the cafeteria, that white area, is that the play area, or is that a drive?
Right here.
Yes.
This is the play area on Elementary 25, you're correct. So if you go back to the plan where Rick was describing earlier, that is this area here. So your gym and cafeteria is located right here.
Okay, then my question, I think, is to Mr. McKeever, like at Hubenack. Are we gonna have that situation where that hallway, anybody at that door in the back cannot get in? This is different than
We added-
Arredondo.
We added the door, we added the hallway.
We added this
that
corridor.
hallway, yes.
So this corridor is not at Thomas nor Hubenack. We added this at Arredondo, sorry, Adolphus. Is that the corridor she's?
I don't think that's what she's talking about. I think she's talking about when the parents come in after hours for the daycare, they'll come to this door back here, and they'll have to be a way
This
to
one.
notify the people in the cafeteria.
Yeah, because we had that problem at Hubenack, and they fixed that at Arredondo because it was actually facing the drive-through. And are we going back to that same situation where that back door is not accessible to parents even on
They'll be able to
school
drive
nights?
where the bus loop is where they'll be able to.
So we're back to the way Hubenek is situated. You have to go to the door, ring a bell, and go down the hallway to get to the cafeteria and the gym.
They could also come to the front door, right?
No, it's
No, not
locked.
for the afternoon, after
Not
hours.
after,
They'll have to ring a bell to
after
get to-
school's closed.
By somebody in the cafeteria.
Okay.
At Arredondo, they're able to drive through the bus area, and from the gym and the cafeteria, you can actually see who's driving up.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have accessibility straight out. But what I'm understanding, now that's all blocked off again, like Hubenek.
That is correct.
So we'll have to design the, I guess as the buzzer or electronic control to activate a signal in the room.
Well, the buzzer, right now, we're having an issue about parents and bus drivers pushing the bell, and who opens and who restricts who can come through that door. We're starting to have that problem at Hubenek a lot. Or parents that are coming in for special needs children. Now that you have that drive-through, that won't be a problem. Arredondo, it works very well, but you have no vision, you have no way of seeing who's at the door, so you're having to have a separate individual go just to answer the door down the hallway.
There's not
So
doors
is the
coming off
situation
of the gym
improved
and
with the special
cafeteria?
ed drive being moved away from there?
These aren't.
No, because you have no visual. And if you have bus
What's
drivers
this
that
right
need to
here?
come in, they have to ring the bell, and there's nobody necessarily down the hallway that's assigned to opening the door. And now the question is, how do we ID these people that may be coming in, or if PTO has an event, or if the school has an event? There's a lot of traffic coming through that door, but there's no visuals. I mean, that's something we can discuss later on, but I just wanted to make sure I understood that.
Well, I guess I have a question now that she has raised that question. Arredondo's done correctly?
It works
Or
very
at
well
least
because you
it-
have a
it func-
visual.
It's
where the
functional, I
traffic-
guess I shouldn't
Mhm.
say correctly.
Yeah.
But then Hubenek's not. Which school was first?
Hubenek.
So then why are we back to Hubenek's
The-
footprint rather
I
than?
think it's because of the way the traffic, the way it's
Yeah, and-
set up in the,
And I don't believe the changes were made with those comments in mind. They were made for other reasons, and there's pros and cons, several pros and cons for each one of the options. This one was decided to go this way to allow more play area outside of the gymnasium and outside of the cafeteria area. So we have most of the play fields on this side instead of dividing it up with, can I get the pointer for a second? So if we did the buses on this side, and like in Arredondo and in 24, and Adolphus, then we limit this area for play area, and this area was getting much smaller because we needed all of this stacking space on this side. So it gave us more play area adjacent to the cafeteria and to the gymnasium. The other thing we wanted to do was try and separate this traffic as much as possible. So that gave us this entry from here. We did look at several options where we brought this drive all the way around and did this over here, but then you really used up quite a bit of the site, and the site wasn't as efficient.
we're not gonna solve it right now. I just need to bring that up. So I know we have other things to do, but that was one of my concerns.
So we need to. we need to look
It
at
presents a
this as-
few questions.
And can we not do another access? You couldn't come through the front door. You have the same issue, right?
Some might have to be buzzed in.
Mhm. If we try and do another drive here, just a loop, and see, we're still going to mess with the play area and separate the play area or divide it up.
Well,
and
at
you'd have to come around the
Arredondo,
playground.
you know, where they have the drive, the kids walk over the drive to get to the playground area, and that's all fenced in. When you said there
Which is
was
what-
some changes, I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting to see those two areas being cut off
And that's one of
again.
that's one of the benefits of this scheme also, with the pros and cons again.
this?
You don't have to walk over any of the driveways
See, here's the best.
to get to the largest area of the playground.
Well, this is more discussion than question. I just wanted to know about that hallway. I think that's something we need to consider. Thank you.
Okay, and as we work through this, we'll definitely keep in mind, how are we going to gain either, whether it's visual or sound connection back to the cafeteria? And I understand your concern. Other people coming in, then they will be buzzed in as well, right?
And just real quick, just to run through the rest of the building, this is our music room, this is our corridor that you saw in the previous slide, so we're moving from the administration, pre-K area, and fine arts to the classroom pods. Your library, your Kiva, and you have your volunteer, your speech, your special needs classrooms, all centralized. And next area pretty much is your grades 1 through 5, all your classroom pods.
Okay.
Excuse me, I have one silly question.
Yes, ma'am.
Why do you have 2 girls' restrooms?
Go ahead.
I think it's in the special ed, on page 2.6,
In the middle.
in the middle. Two girls, you don't have that anywhere else. And 1 boys,
Here, here.
Where it says girls, girls, custodian, and boys.
right in the middle.
Next slide.
slide.
There it is.
Where are we seeing this? Girls?
It's right
See
in the middle.
The middle, girls, girls, boys.
Oh, here,
custodian.
here. Okay, that's actually boys and girls.
No, you got girls.
No, one is actually a staff restroom. The one.
Oh, boys, I'm sorry, yeah, the boys,
And that's girls and that's boys.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's
Should
just
be
a-
saying ladies.
Should be
and-
staff.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, so there is boys and girls here on facing
Right,
the
I just wondered why there
classrooms.
was 2 girls, okay.
Okay, let's take a quick look at the exterior of the building as we work through the many different versions of this floor plan. We're looking for new ways to present the front entry and still have a very symbolic entry. We want people to pull up to the site and know exactly where the entry is. It's a safety and security concept as well, so you know where you're going and not wandering through the site to other entries. This one is a little bit more contemporary, a little bit flair of hill country with the steel columns and the stone out front. Still marking the entry, still behind this entry piece, still basically the exact same building and volume as you come in. There's no added volume to this either. Another angle, looking at it from as you drive up from the parent loop after you've gone around the half-mile track.
Now the awning that's a sloped roof as well?
That is a sloped roof,
Okay,
yes.
It's hard to tell from the rendering.
Yes, sir, the angle is down lower. It's more like my observation point.
Right.
As you can see there, on this image, you can see that it is all still a sloped roof.
Okay, thank you.
So another view driving up the parent drop-off area with the canopy, drop-off canopy. And then also our smaller entries, picking up the same architectural flavor of the main entry, but still not competing with that. So it does still give symbolic entry to or image to the main entry.
And we don't have any type of awning or covering from the other entries. How far do we have a covering? So for example, kids are getting dropped off and it's raining outside. How much of a,
Yeah, typically the main canopy is here, so you really try and discourage the entry and exit here. These are mainly designed for emergency exit or
Sure.
fire escapes during any type of event. If I go back to the floor plan, I can show you that we do have a long drop-off area within good weather. You could always drop off. Come on. So we do have sidewalk all the way back to here. So you could drop off and unload faster in good weather. I don't know if that's prevented by administration or by the individual campus administration, and they want to drop off closer to the front. However, we do have the sidewalk there, but the canopy starts here. So if it is raining, yes, you'd want to pull up further to the canopy.
well, and I guess that's my question, is how much space of a canopy do we have?
The linear feet of the canopy?
Is it, how much, is it
Lauren,
different
give me-
from Arredondo, for
No, sir.
example?
The length at Arredondo, at 24, all of them are the exact same.
35, 40,
And I
maybe.
guess the reason I'm asking is because now we're looking at extending Huggins, and so if we can fix this from the very beginning and avoid having to go back at some point and add some type of canopy.
To add longer canopy this way, you mean?
That's about 80
Yeah,
feet.
years ago.
Yeah,
You've
so
got
we
a
had,
lot more distance here than you have at Huggins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why
Yes.
I'm asking for
Yes,
approximate.
space-wise,
Okay,
you've got a lot
space-wise.
more here, a lot more canopy here than you do at Huggins.
Okay,
Or any other school.
okay.
thank you.
Yeah. David, I swear I didn't break it.
Gentlemen, while you're waiting or looking for that, can I ask a question?
Sure.
In the classrooms, the way that they're set up in pods and such, Is there a difference between the pods? Is there are there some classrooms that are geared toward like fifth grade pods or fourth grade pods or anything like that? Or is it just up to the administration?
It's pretty much up to the administration. All the casework in the classrooms are pretty much set up the same. They all have the front row system. They all have the teacher presentation stations and smart boards or Promethean boards. So they're pretty much all typical throughout. And usually the administration sets the classroom pods up the way they feel.
Thank you.
One thing that this floor plan does do also is you'll see if this is a pod that is surrounding the restrooms and the support for that pod, you do have doors that go to the other side as well. So as population might shift from grade levels, you can always use those from both sides. Or it could be just from this side or from the other side as well.
Thank you.
Okay, the drop-off area showing the smaller entries again. Another view of the canopy showing the sloped roof. The same sloped roof all the way around the building. A little more earth tone colors on this one. So Lauren, take us real quick through the inside. Now we're walking in the front door, going down the main corridor.
Yes, sir. To your immediate right, what you're looking at is a view into the library from the main corridor. A little more playful. We've added some fur downs with some different types of lighting. A little more color. Now the colors you're seeing are all schematic. We have not met with the color design committee yet. So the colors you are seeing are schematic, and these are very subject to change. Looking at doing a little more playful patterns on the floor, LVT, which is what you see at Arredondo in the main corridor. In the library, our circulation desk, this will be pretty much set up just like Elementary 24 will be set up. Your circulation desk is right outside your Kiva. We've opened that Kiva up and made it glass to give that librarian better visibility between the Kiva space and the library. Again, this is the similar feature if you've been to Arredondo, similar feature. Ms. Barbara actually mentioned this morning in one of our meetings that the teachers love this. Her librarian actually sits in this little alcove and reads to the children, and she said the children love it as well. One of the changes from this morning in our design meeting, we were going to take these Kiva steps and just extend them all the way out and relocate that door. So that was one minor tweak that we discussed this morning. The librarian's office is back over here to your right, so she has visibility from her office through those windows into the library. Again, a little less traditional. Opened it up, allowed a little more flexibility. The committee decided they did not want to add computer stations in this library. The kids are going towards more iPads. They're wanting to use more laptops. So they, just play around with the furniture, a little more flexible seating, movable furniture. The bookshelves in this one will be just like Arredondo, movable, so she can have more flex space for staff meetings, book fairs, or whatever they decide to use that space for. Again, this is just another little feature that we looked at adding. These are actually, it spells dream, but they're actually bookshelves. So they can use them as bookshelves. They can use this one. We talked about not raising that this morning and just making it a different color, carpet or an LVT or something, instead of raising it and taking away that bit of space from the library. Your projection screen would be here, and it would come from the ceiling down.
Okay. So that's the end of the presentation as far as the graphics. If you choose to approve the project on Thursday, the next time we would be in front of you would be in April with a construction proposal from a successful proposer. After we release construction documents, we would start immediately on construction documents with a repeat like this. We have a pretty short window as far as turning construction documents around. We would release for contractors' proposals and be back in April with a substantial completion of June of 17. We do have a bond allocation of $23,770 for the entire project, which includes furniture, soft cost, and construction cost as well.
Why is this $1.7 million more than 24?
Inflation's been factored into all the projects throughout the.
That's an 8% increase. We haven't had 8% inflation.
Yeah, in construction market, we're actually seeing almost 1% a month across the board. If we can be anywhere from 10 to 12, Now, I know that doesn't always, that 10 to 12%.
Yeah. What are you seeing that in? Is it concrete, steel, everything, or what?
Concrete is one big driver, electrical and copper is a big driver, steel is one. The biggest, one of the big ones is just the sub base. So we're seeing projects that are, the subs are so busy, the GCs are so busy, we're seeing projects with one electrician. We just had an elementary bid in, north of here in Cy-Fair with one electrician to bid. That drives up the cost when all the other electricians know that they're all divided up, they're busy, they're going to a project that there's only one person that's interested. We've had 2 elementaries recently with two GC bids. So what really drives it is the availability of the subs and the GCs, as well as some material increase as well.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question. We were talking about security, and we're having a request for the cafeterias and cameras to be installed. Under security systems, 5.5, are we trying to plan ahead and put in enough cameras and enough securities from what we've learned from these other schools into this new school?
Typically in the cafeterias and the gymnasium, we have a camera that are in both spaces.
Okay, but when I'm looking at requests, there's all the cafeterias, but there's more security being asked, more cameras in all of these schools. Have we added additional ones to this school in anticipation of those requests?
We haven't got, I'll base it on Arredondo, and Ms. Barbaro did not request any additional cameras in this next phase, so she felt that, that the cameras in Arredondo were sufficient.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is that the board approve Engineered Air Balance Company for the HVAC test and balance services for the new elementary number 24.
Why are we proving this early when we don't have anything out of the ground yet?
We're getting them queued up, ready to go. It takes some time for them to get on board. It is true they're not ready to do any of their actual work yet, but they will be reviewing shop drawings that are submitted on the long lead equipment, the chillers, the pumps, and the air handlers. And so we just don't want to, we want to get a jump on it. They're not going to do anything untoward before it's ready. We're not going to spend any
Okay, so
extra money.
they're actually looking at the initial design to make sure that's what we need. Okay, all right.
Yes, sir.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda, certainly the board's pleasure to look at the priorities that were established from the previous year, because if you recall, when we had our team building session, most of the time was spent on team building as opposed to focusing on the priorities. Typically in February, we have approved the priorities so that administration knows what the primary focus will be on for the upcoming year.
Are there any questions?
The next item on the agenda, it was requested to have board operating procedures on for discussion.
Are there any questions? I have a few, I'll put it into question form, but how many of you have had time to go through the Board of Operating Procedures? Raise your hand.
And admittedly, I have some questions as well, but I can't ask those without the attorney being here, so.
Okay, so you have more questions for
Yes.
for Thursday night. Okay. If you want, I happen to have kept a copy of the working changes that we tried to do a couple of years ago, kind of a guideline as far as what I had done. So I'm going to just leave the copies here if y'all want to have a copy of it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So no questions tonight.
Next item on the agenda is consider approval of additional security cameras and components.
I had a real quick question about, down in the program description, it talks about using funds from the technology and food services portions of the bond and excess revenues, food services fund. How much excess revenues from the food services fund do we have that we're contributing to this?
I wasn't expecting that one. I do have the number though.
Just ballpark, if you,
It's been a long time since we
All
put
right.
this together. I really do need to look. I don't have the number. It's all I need.
well, I'll ask another question. Why did we divide that up into two funding sources rather than all from the 2014 bond?
A couple reasons, and Joe, help me out if need be. There's, this project didn't have, we used the 2014 bond funding for security cameras in the first project.
Right.
So this is money from savings from
Right.
other projects in the 14 bond. So we had that. Food Services had bond money dedicated to this as well.
Oh, okay.
And then they had $88,000 in bond 2014 for security cameras, but the total of theirs was about $136,000. And so that's why the additional revenue, the savings from food services revenue contributed to that as well.
All right. Good, thank you.
I want to say it was something like 59,000, 60,000.
Well, the difference between the 135 and the 88,000
Okay.
is what's going to be, and I don't know if you were asking how much from the
No, I'm
reserves or
just
how much did we have in reserves
No, I
in
was
general.
looking for funding sources and why you divided it up the way that you explained it to me. Thank you. I should have asked that question in the first place instead of.
Good, because I knew that answer.
Now that I've got Jill all wound up.
I have a question.
Oh.
I mean, I had so much time this last 3 days to go through this, but on the list of campuses, I just start checking them off, and I didn't see Reading, Arredondo, or Poly Ryan. Am I missing something?
They did not request any additional cameras.
But there's money being on the next page.
Oh, so okay, let me explain that. The first, the uglier spreadsheet, harder one to read, is the camera requests from the campuses, which was principals, campus administrators, SROs, things like that.
Okay.
The next two pages are specifically food services, are specifically cafeteria requests. So the food services department requested cameras to cover the manager's offices in the cafeterias, all the registers, the point of sale machines, and the back door to the kitchen area. So page 177 is the high schools and junior highs, and then page 178 is the elementary schools and middle schools.
Okay, but on the front, is that the total cost?
No, the
Okay.
whole total, the grand total of the 586,000 is the total of those three pages of 176, 77, and 78.
So even though Reading and Arredondo and Poly Ryan are not on this front list,
Yes, the front list is the request that came from the principals, SROs, et cetera. The second two pages are the cafeteria, the food services request from Matt Antignolo. They were kind of.
I guess I'm still a little confused because
Okay.
the other ones say campus cafeterias, and they're all listed on here, on the front page, except for those three.
I'm not sure I'm following you. On
Okay, on the front page,
the agenda item page?
When, that
176.
very first, 176,
Mm-hmm.
when he did the survey with all of the principals, looking for blind spots, looking for areas of coverage that they felt like would help them on the campus, that reflects their request.
They didn't turn in cafeteria cameras on this page.
That's correct.
This is an additional request just for cafeteria cameras.
Yes.
That's correct.
Still not,
I'm not,
Let's
no,
see on
because
the bottom.
Adolphus says on the top, and if it was a principal, they requested 3 cameras.
Yes.
And then if I look over here, the cafeteria requested 3 cameras.
Right, so that means a
would be
total of 6, that's correct.
total 6 cameras.
So
Yes.
that doesn't reflect it on the front page.
That's correct.
Yes. And it,
Back 2 pages are additive to the first page.
And is
Correct.
this the total for all three?
yes, the 432,000,
Yes.
Yeah. The 432,000 at the bottom of 176, plus the 43,000 on 177, plus the 92,000 or so on 178, is the total of the agenda item 568,000.
Right, right.
So those three schools, nobody else requested cameras except for the cafeteria people.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's why they were left off the project.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, the next items on the agenda, we have historically done the quarterly academic update at the board meeting, and as well as we will include as part of that quarterly academic update, the 2015 Gaston Opportunity Honor Roll. The freezing of new intra-district transfers. Historically, we've done that on those campuses where we are reaching capacity. And as you can see, Hubernac, McNeil, Ray, Thomas, those are, as well as the rest of those that are listed. We just will not allow any more additional intra-district transfers to the campuses or inter-district transfers.
Are there any new schools for next year we've added to that list, or is this the same list as this year?
We actually added Williams Elementary.
Okay, so that, they didn't have the freeze on before, and they do now.
They did not.
Okay, okay, thank you.
We also have done a demographic update at the board meeting because there's so much interest in that. And historically, we've actually moved that up to even prior to the action items for them to do the report. And then it's followed by the quarterly academic update and then the agenda items. And then we have the tax collection report, payment of construction projects, Region 4 update, bond update, transportation update. And I'll slow down and let everybody catch up if you have any questions on them. I'm rolling through those. They are our updates that we typically have for each one of them. And then possible projects for available 2011 bonds.
Let me back up to the updates on elementary 24. Since it's on here, I'm going to ask the question about access. Now that I've had a chance to go out there and look at that and look back to the original presentation, the only access to that campus, road access, is going to be off of 359. We don't have anything coming from that neighborhood. There's no way to get into that campus from the neighborhood.
Not from driving. We're working on a walking path, but
I saw a little gap in the fence over there. I didn't know whether that was going to be a small gap or a big gap.
and that walking gap is still being discussed with the developer yet, so.
Okay.
So
Is there
kids won't be able
sidewalks?
to, oh, excuse me, kids won't be able to access it by riding their bikes or anything like that without having to go on 359?
Right now, we have a location back towards the southeast corner, which is where the drainage ditch goes through. The developer is asking, we're actually going to meet with them tomorrow. They would actually like to propose a different location. We don't know what they want to propose, but we do, our intent is not for them to go out to 359 and back in.
It should be their intent, not
Yes,
as well.
we agree.
That's just going to be a scary campus to get into and out of.
That's what I said.
Yeah, right now, it's one driveway in for everything, and it splits in the front. The intent there is that we anticipate, we have a traffic study that's in for Texas DOT right now. We anticipate a traffic light will be required, but still one entrance.
Has a traffic light, to your knowledge, been authorized for the subdivision?
There's a blinking light there.
Subdivision?
I know that there's one that looks like it could be in the future.
Right now, it's just a caution light, I think, that's going in, but I believe they will be getting traffic.
So certainly, we're not going to get two traffic lights that close to each other.
But it's possible.
It's possible.
Because if you go out to George Ranch, for example, we have a traffic light for the high school and a traffic light for Poly Ryan.
Well, yeah, but these are much closer. This is a much closer proximity between.
In front of Foster as well, there's multiple
Right, but
lights, so.
that's a lot further than what
Yeah.
we're talking about.
It's really the traffic counts and timing is what drives that. And,
Okay.
you know, if there's gonna be two of them on the state route, they're gonna have to be synchronized, so
Sure.
but it's still, and that's still not our call, that's still in the state for,
Sure.
we anticipate that'll happen.
Are we still expecting contract completion November of?
November, yes. That's contract completion, we're still anticipating, we're trying to move that up. Right at this point, the contractor has made significant progress. They started a couple weeks behind, and we're still working on that, but right now, we are still working to try to see if we can improve that.
Yeah, I'm just curious because I went in the construction sack on Saturday and the Gantt chart up there shows that they're still cleaning the school in the middle or early December. They're hanging doors in November and doing cleanup of the school in December.
There was a schedule last month that had that we rejected. Right now, its substantial completion is November 18th. After that, the only thing that should be left, that can be left by contract is punch list, but they have to have everything substantially complete by that.
Okay,
But
maybe,
yeah,
maybe a good idea to take that chart off the wall and if somebody's coming in there and having that expectation because would be a January open.
Yeah, no,
Not
that's,
November.
that has been rejected and updated since.
Good, I'm glad to hear that.
We agree with you immensely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we go to
221.
The item that we had stopped at was possible projects for available.
Could we back up the transportation update first?
Okay.
We had 3 accidents in December. Wait, this is down from 4 accidents in January. I don't understand that. But you were putting in place something to analyze these accidents, and we've had about 3 months of this. Any conclusions yet why the primary cause for these?
They look at each one individually, and the group met this past week and went over a number of those. I've directed them to start meeting within the week after an accident so they can get on the accident, review it, make their conclusions and recommendations back to me.
But we don't have anything firm yet as a kind of root cause of these things?
Not anything that would carry through every accident. They're all unique. One of the first things that they determine is whether that accident was preventable or non-preventable. And then it goes from there.
How's that shaking out so far?
It's a mix. They're not all our fault. Our goal is to make it where none of them are our fault and that they're all non-preventable.
Okay. The drivers that quit or terminated, how many that were terminated? You said 3?
I don't have that number. I don't know the breakdown. But I believe that we, yeah, there were none, I don't believe any of those were terminated.
Okay.
It's just one big group.
All right. Thank you.
I'm going to just make a short comment. It's good to see that the discipline referrals are going down from 312 down to 208. I thought that was a pretty good, showing some progress.
On the 2011 bonds, thank you for the activity already on those security windows for the doors. Appreciate that, getting started on that.
On the 2011 bonds, the informational items, how will we decide or determine, how will it be determined what we do end up doing? What will take a priority or what we will exclude?
Well, one thing that we do need to finalize on, and that'll come up as we start finalizing on the end of some of these projects with Lehman and Fulshire, to see just how much available funds we will have totally available. And our accounting department, as well as Gilbane, will have to collaborate on that number. Then we'll have to, we'll sit down with Dr. Randall and we'll determine and prioritize the list like we did before to present. And then the board will have to make that determination as if these projects will be funded by these available funds.
Okay.
Are you saying the funds that we have already, the underruns we've already had, some of those funds could be used for the Fulshear complex? Should we overrun there? Is that what you said?
No, sir. We don't know exactly how many funds will be available funds when that project closes out. And it will
Okay,
add
but-
to that
but-
list.
But we know we have $5 to $6 million worth right now.
That's what it's showing.
Yes, okay. Thank you.
But it could be more if.
That was a hesitant right there.
So what you're saying is, when these other
Hesitation.
projects are finished, it could be more?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And we could add more to our list. And
He's not
Are
Santa
there,
Claus.
are there any of these or any of these possible projects that are certain? For example, I know that we had talked about, in a different meeting, about the parking lot and parent pickup and drop off for Huggins. Are there some things that we for sure are going to do, or is it all just possible and we're just gonna?
At this point, everything on this list is possible projects. When we get into, for instance, the Huggins parking lot, we'll have to get, that architect that did the renovations was VLK Architects. We can either go and piggyback off of that contract and move forward with them. Then we'll have to let them do a design development, show that to the board and get that approval, then go into the construction documents phase for the bidding process.
Well, I guess my concern is, I guess in the previous, or one of the previous meetings, I assumed, based on what we were looking at, that that was going to be a project, because as you well know, there won't be enough places for teachers to park next year, bottom line. So when you're telling me that it's a possible project, I guess I'm taken back by a possibility that it's not.
there, I guess the other approach to it, on Thursday night at the end of the board meeting, we'll put an action item on the following month's agenda. We could propose that we take Huggins renovations and additions and this maintenance and operation of the energy project, which will save us money, and we could go ahead and place those on a vote to initiate those projects.
We could.
Another approach.
We could certainly do that. It's the board's
Well,
pleasure.
just to give the board an idea of what was happening or what happens at times, is they ask the teachers to overflow into the grass fields, in which then you have teachers running out in the middle of the day because it started to rain. Teachers were getting stuck. I mean, it's not just because my kids go there. It's because I see these teachers who are having to go run out in the rain in their nice shoes.
I'm going to interrupt for a minute.
Right.
Mr. Keeper, so this is our wish list, correct? This is our hopeful list that we want.
These
And our
are-
priorities, we'll wait for y'all to present the priorities to us.
And that's correct. And we went through the steps of having the architects to help us to take a look at
Right.
what was needed at Huggins, because we're all very much aware that we've got parents we don't have the drop-off capability, for example, like the stacking that we have currently in elementary 24 and 25. And what we're trying to do is to come up with some way to stack and get people off of that Farm to Market road out there. And so that is is something that certainly we've already spent quite a bit of time looking at.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yes, we can wait until we get a recommendation back to administration. We'd like to stack them this way, but we also have the ability as a board, I believe, if we think this is a priority, there's some safety issues here, that we can put that on as an action item, and we don't
And
have
that-
to wait till the entire list is developed and select one or two and say, these are important enough, we need to get started on them now, and put those in an action item, and we can either approve it or disapprove it as a board.
And that's something we can do Thursday.
That's correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll do that.
In my
Okay, thank you.
estimation.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
McKeever.
Again, thank you for those windows.
Yes, thank you for the windows.
The board had given approval of a contract to engage in a contract with Energy for Schools. This is just a report as a result of that. We're looking at estimating savings for the additional 2 years of that contract of $1.7 million. Our rate went from .055 to .042.
And are we locked on that?
Yes, sir.
Can I hook
The
my
next-
house up?
The next item on the agenda is naming of schools. You have received your information for that, and understanding the timeline, of course, is for you all to get that information now, and then we'll have a public hearing, and then we'll come back, and the board will be making a decision in April.
Do you have a dolly to load these?
And Madam Chairman, those are the agenda items for this evening.
Ms. Kaminsky, I have one comment. I just want to wish a happy birthday to Miss Leslie Hack tonight. Happy birthday to you. We apologize that you had to sit through this on your birthday evening, but we thank you for being here.
There being no further questions or
We don't have to go to
discussions?
special
We do not have to go to special session, and meeting is adjourned. It is now 7:41.